There's no doubt that Black Lives Matter and the tragic events that movement was forged from has helped move society towards long overdue cultural and organisational change. And it's our hope that will extend to livelihoods too. A 2019 UK study showed that those with names sounding identifiably African, Arabic or Asian in origin needed to send up to 90% more CVs to secure an interview than white-sounding, otherwise identical candidates, and those numbers have barely shifted in 60 years. While change can be slow, we know that prejudice is quick. This summer, I spoke to 3 brilliant black UCL alumni about race, identity and the job hunt, and we arrived at 5 key ways to thrive. I first spoke to Tom over Zoom about the first of those 5 things.
As you can see, I have a lovely head of hair.
I love it. I'm jealous.
Thank you. So when I was job hunting, and specifically when I was job hunting outside of academia, one of the things that people would say to me is, are you sure you're going to find a job with that hair? I know that there were certain jobs that I went for that I didn't get because of the way I looked. I've shown up for an interview and it's a moment, it's not long. It's like less than a second where you'll see the person's face when they realize you're that CV. And it's that one little moment where you're like, they didn't expect that. And it doesn't mean anything negative at that point, but you know, you can kind of tell from the way the interview goes. If I give an example, I did an interview for a technology company in London. I get in there and they did that. There was that moment where they suddenly realized who I was. And I was like, oh, okay. Not even that long. It was just like a quick half a second. I do the whole interview. In the interview now, so we're in the interview and it's the head of the company is there and everything. And one of the questions was, okay, so tell us about your PhD. So I told it in very broad, non-scientific terms. And then one of the people said, could you give us a bit more detail? So I gave a bit more detail. And they were really interested. So they asked for more technical information. So I was like, okay, I can give you more technical stuff. If there's anything you don't understand, let me know. And so we talked about it for about 5 minutes. You know, they were really interested. It's all good. About a week later, you get the feedback. And it's like, sorry, you haven't been accepted. And we haven't accepted you because you talked too technically about your research. You see what I mean? And it's like, okay. Now at this point, I had the job offer from where I'm working at now. So we're on the phone, and I'm not gonna lie, I was laughing. And the guy was like, I don't know why you're laughing. I'm like, no, it's fine, don't worry. And it was like, you know, it's great. You know, if you need help with any other interviews, you know, we're happy to offer you like some support. And I was like, no, don't worry about it. It's absolutely okay. And they were like, okay, great. And I'm like, yeah, all right, bye. But you see what I mean? Like, it's very clear from that what happened. I'm absolutely clear on that. They are not judging me as Tom the person. They're judging me as the black man that we've met. And I'm very clear that those are 2 different things. So they have whatever prejudice they have, but it doesn't have to impact me. And having that awareness, you're right, if you're like 18, 19 and you're going in for a job interview and that happens and you're not aware that that is what's happening, that can do awful things for like your self-esteem, your self-respect, your self-image. And it's arming yourself with that, knowing that this can happen.
I love this insight from Tom. Identifying and labeling prejudice for what it is, drawing strength from everything you've already overcome. It's something that Rodney talks about next.
I think it's so important to remember the journey that you've been on to get to where you are. There's so many challenges that you will face as a black person just to get into a good university like UCL. And loads of those challenges start from a young age. Remember and reflect on all your successes and think that you are so close to getting that job. You are 99% there. You just need to overcome whatever that next hurdle may be it, you know, a job application getting rejected, or you having to go for another interview, or you not being successful during that interview.
Especially for people of color and people from minority backgrounds, do not change who you are to try and fit in somewhere, because it's not going to end well. You're going to work at this place and you're never going to be able to be who you really are when you're working there. So it's better to be who you are, go to a place that actually appreciates that and allows you to have that self-expression, and then you can work there freely, self-expressed, and you don't have to worry about, do I look the right way? Do I act the right way? And it is a conversation that I had with my workplace. Occasionally I like to braid my hair. Is that an issue? And they were very clear, it's not an issue for us. And it's one of those weird words, and you have to be very careful how people use it, as long as you look professional. And you have to ask them to explain what that means, because professional can mean different things. But, be clear, okay, so for me, this is what professional is. Does that match your description? And if they go, yeah, that's still professional, we have no problem with that, great. Yeah, don't change who you are to fit in. Find the places that accept you for who you are.
There have been so many times that I thought, I have an Italian middle name. Why couldn't that be my first name? Because surnames, lots of people have slightly different sounding surnames, but if you've got a first name that is, it sounds more Western, then you're fine. And I think there has been a trend in, I know that I can speak for African parents giving their children an English name, just because it will help you further down the line. I saw some things on Twitter. I actually made a post talking about Gorbachev and Brezhnev, and everyone, these names just roll off the tongue. And Nnenna was butchered for every year of my education. There's 4 N's in it, and that just throws people. So I think it's a difficult one, because there's obviously nothing you can do to overcome your name. You shouldn't want to change your name either. That's another thing, because I guess, yeah, you could go by something else. It might help your CV a little bit and get you through the door, get you more interviews. But you should definitely stand in your identity. And ultimately, if they don't hire you on the basis of your name, is that a place that you would like to work anyway?
One of the solutions maybe is to have like they do with exams, and have a candidacy number so that they don't know your ethnicity before you show up. The risk of that is you could end up in a toxic environment. So that's not an ideal solution. The ideal solution is to educate people and get rid of the prejudice.
I think Tom and Nnenna are spot on here. The only option is to be yourself, and never subsuming your identity or your character in order to conform, because that makes it harder to be happy at work. It's tragic to hear of anyone having to think so very deeply about the impact of their name on other people. And it's a thread that Rodney picks up on next in a very positive way.
It's so important to be yourself during the recruitment process, because diversity matters. Currently, the workforce doesn't reflect the communities that it serves. There is an underrepresentation of Black, Asian and minority ethnic people in the workforce, and that applies to all industries. I've experienced it myself working in engineering. I rarely see people that look like me and that come from similar backgrounds to me. So I think it's really important that you bring your full self to work, especially if you are going for that job interview, because we need difference, we need diversity. Find new ways of solving problems and hopefully, saving money, or creating that next vaccine, or creating the next great best thing that's going to save a company loads of money or help us work more efficiently. So I think it's so important that you own who you are.
It's an incredibly powerful and positive message from Rodney, and it's undeniable. So far we have 3 ways of thriving despite prejudice. Number 1, not changing who you are. Number 2, trusting your instinct on feeling prejudice. And number 3, isolating and attaching prejudice to the person who perpetrates it and not letting it get close to you. That leaves us with 2 further ways to thrive despite prejudice. That's to speak to people inside organisations that you're interested to get a better idea of the culture present there. And lastly, to take advantage of anything that is offered to you. Here's Rodney and Nnenna who talk more about this.
You can use things like LinkedIn to connect with people that already work for that organisation. You can also use Glassdoor to get opinions on those organisations before you submit your application.
The sharing of information is so important. Social media has been really big, obviously, during this time, and it's been so interesting to see people posting, like, if you're a 16-year-old boy interested in medicine, there's this for you, or share this because someone who could benefit from this program might be on your feed or your timeline, which I think is so important. It's often, once you have knowledge, there's a tendency to hoard that knowledge because it will benefit you and help you, but obviously sharing just helps so many more people.
There are different ways to get involved. Some organisations are offering things like work experience, or some have special schemes to support people from certain backgrounds. So look out for what's available out there and consider getting involved.
Positive discrimination in terms of schemes. I think if you'd asked me maybe 3 years ago, I would have thought, oh, well, are they trying to say that we're a bit less than, and therefore we need this positive scheme? But I did the summer diversity internship program for the civil service, where everyone had interesting names. And I think programs like that assist people in getting a foot in the door.
Often all you need is an opportunity to show your undoubted talent. And to borrow Leila Janna's words, talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. Everyone deserves opportunities. To round up this episode, I'm not going to summarise the brilliant words of Tom, Nnenna and Rodney. Instead, I'm going to share one way that I've thrived, and that's to nurture the group of people around you who see your value and remind you of it often and help you celebrate your wins. Find those people who make you feel good about yourself and return the favour. To Tom, Nnenna and Rodney, your honest, insightful generosity really blows me away, and I can't thank you enough. You're absolute superstars. And to those watching, please know that UCL Careers is ready and open to welcome you. Whoever you are, wherever you've come from, and wherever you're going.
Things are changing. I've done quite a bit of work in this space, particularly around inclusion and diversity within the workplace. There's loads of good work happening out there, so stay positive about recruitment, embrace who you are, embrace your difference, and just own it and run with it.